Giles Montessori and School. Unit 4, Poem, In Spite of War, from Grade 9 English Book, Cantab Publishers. The video includes difficult words, meanings, explanation of poem, questions and answers. This will help students to prepare for board exam. Difficult words and meanings. Sufferings, taklifen, pain or hardship. Lilacs, bakain, a type of flowering plant. Tulips, guli lala, a colorful spring flower. Tripping, चहलकदमी करना, moving lightly and quickly. Wrath, गुस्सा, intense anger. Morning glory, एक फूल, a type of flowering vine. Seth, कहता है, an old form of says. Daisy, गुली बाहर, a small white flower with a yellow center. Murmureth, सरगोशी करता है, an old form of murmurs or whispers. Divine, मुकद्दस, heavenly or perfect. Pansies, banafsha, a type of colorful flower. Romping, कूदना, playing energetically. Flashing, चमकना, shining brightly. Not, कुछ नहीं, nothing. Fair, खूबसूरत, beautiful or just. Glory, azmat, great beauty or honor. Despair, मायूसी, hopelessness. Cannon, tube, a large gun. Boom, garjna, to make a loud, deep sound. Spirit, रूह, the non-physical part of a person. Flame, shola, a burning fire. Torch, mashal, a source of light or inspiration. Poppies, khaskhas, a red flower symbolizing remembrance. Altar, kurban-gah, a sacred table or place. Whitely, safedi se, in a white or pure manner. Urns, guldan, decorative vases. Shame, sharm, a feeling of guilt or disgrace. Whispering, sargoshi, speaking very softly. Nightmare, ख्वाबी bad, a bad dream or terrible situation. Ecstasy, wajid, intense happiness or joy, meaning by parts of stanza. In spite of war, जंग के बावजूद, despite the presence of war. In spite of death, मौत के बावजूद, even though death exists. In spite of all man's sufferings, तमाम इंसानी ताकालिफ के बावजूद, despite human hardships. Something within me laughs and sings, मेरे अंदर कुछ हंसता और गाता है, a deep feeling of joy remains. I must praise with all my breath, मुझे अपनी पूरी सांस के साथ तारीफ करनी चाहिए. I should express gratitude wholeheartedly. Lilacs are blooming at my gate. मेरे दरवाजे पर लाइलैक के फूल खिल रहे हैं. Beauty continues to flourish. Tulips are tripping down the path. Tulip रास्ते पर गिर रहे हैं. Flowers are falling along the way. In spite of wrath, गजब के बावजूद, even with anger and rage present. Courage, the morning glory saith dash. हिम्मत, सुबह का गुलाब कहता है, nature encourages bravery. Rejoice, the daisy murmureth dash. खुश हो जाओ, गुलबाहरी सरगोशी करती है, the daisy whispers happiness. And just to live is so divine, और जीना ही मुकद्दस है, simply being alive is sacred. When pansies lift their eyes to mine, जब बनफशे अपनी आंखें मेरी तरफ उठाते हैं, flowers symbolize connection and admiration. The clouds are romping with the sea, बादल समुंदर के साथ खेल रहे हैं, the sky and ocean are in harmony. Flashing waves call back to me, चमकती लहरें मुझे वापस बुलाती हैं, the sea seems to speak. That naught is real but what is fair, कुछ भी हकीकी नहीं सवाई इंसाफ के, only justice and fairness are real. A glory lived through despair, शान मायूसी में भी जिंदा रहती है, beauty exists even in suffering. Though guns may roar and cannon boom, अगरचे बंदूकें गरजती हैं और तोपें गूंजती हैं, despite war's destruction. Roses are born and gardens bloom. गुलाब पैदा होते हैं और बहार खिलते हैं. Life and beauty persist. My spirit still may light its flame. मेरी रूह भी अपनी रोशनी जला सकती है. Hope remains within. At that same torch whence poppies came. उसी मशाल पर जहाँ पोस्ट के फूल आए. Poppies symbolize resilience. Where morning's altar whitely burns. जहाँ सुबह की कुर्बानगाह सफेद रोशनी से जलती है. A sacred beginning. Lilies may lift their silver urns. कंवल अपने चांदी जैसे बर्तन उठा सकते हैं. Flowers stand as a symbol of peace. In spite of war, in spite of shame, जंग के बावजूद, शर्मिंदगी के बावजूद, even when dishonor exists. And in my ear a whispering breath, और मेरी कान में सरगोशी करती हुई सांस, a soft voice speaks. Look and see that life is not but ecstasy. देखो और समझो कि जिंदगी सिर्फ सुरूर है. Life is full of joy. Explanation of the poem In Spite of War by Angela Morgan. Stanza 1, from line 1 to line 4. The poet says that even though war and death exist in the world, there is still something inside her that finds joy and sings. She feels a strong need to praise life and express gratitude, despite all the suffering. Stanza 2, from line 5 to line 9. The poet repeats that war and hatred are present, but nature continues to flourish. Flowers like lilacs and tulips are still blooming, showing that beauty and life continue no matter how terrible the world may seem. Stanza 3, from line 10 to line 15. Even in a world filled with war and anger, the poet hears the morning glory flower encouraging courage and the daisy whispering about happiness. Just being alive feels like a divine, special gift, and she finds joy in simple things like looking at flowers. Stanza 4, from line 16 to line 20. The poet describes the clouds playing with the sea, and the waves calling back to her. She realizes that only fairness and justice are truly real, and despite the hardships of life, there is still a hidden beauty that continues to shine. Stanza 5, from line 21 to line 26. The poet acknowledges the reality of war, where guns and cannons create destruction. However, she also notices that roses continue to grow, and gardens keep blooming. This symbolizes that life goes on even in times of difficulty. Stanza 6, from line 27 to line 32. She expresses that her inner spirit still burns like a flame, just like the poppy flowers that bloom in battlefields. The morning light continues to shine, and lilies rise beautifully, representing purity and peace. Stanza 7, from line 33 to line 34. The poet again emphasizes that, despite war and shame, life still exists and moves forward. This shows her strong belief in hope and resilience. Stanza 8, from line 35 to line 40. She hears a soft whisper in her ear, urging her to wake up from the terrible nightmare of war. The voice tells her to see that life is not just filled with hardships but also with moments of happiness and joy. Stanza 9, from line 41 to line 42. The poem ends with a powerful repetition of the idea that life continues despite war and death. The poet reminds us to focus on the beauty of life instead of the destruction around us. This poem teaches us that even in dark times, nature, beauty, and hope never fade away. Question and answers from the text. 1. How does the poet use contrasting elements such as war and life's beauty to evoke emotional responses in the reader? The poet contrasts war's destruction with the beauty of nature, like blooming flowers, to show that life continues even in dark times. This creates hope and resilience in the reader. 2. Analyze the symbolic significance of flowers like lilacs, tulips, and pansies in the poem. What do they represent in the context of war and suffering? Flowers symbolize hope, renewal, and the persistence of life. Even during war and suffering, they continue to bloom, showing that beauty and joy can exist despite hardship. 3. What are the things that thrive despite the ravages of war? Nature, like flowers and waves, and the human spirit thrive despite war. The poet shows that life goes on, and there is still beauty and courage in the world. 4. What message does the poem convey about the resilience of the human spirit? The poem conveys that despite war, death, and suffering, the human spirit remains strong, finding joy and hope in the small beauties of life. 5. How does the poem make you feel, and what emotions or thoughts does it evoke? The poem creates mixed emotions, sadness for war's destruction but also hope and inspiration because life and beauty continue despite hardships. 6. What are some of the different words and images used in the poem that convey the emotion of loss? Words like war, death, wrath, and despair express loss, while images of roaring guns and cannons highlight destruction. However, the poem also balances this with images of flowers and morning light to show hope.